Okay, so hi everybody and welcome to Leaving Cert Economics, and my name's Ronan Murdock, and now we're going to look at the oligopoly, right? So again, when you're starting off, remember the first thing we did there, if you look at the earlier one, we did monopoly, right? Monopoly is there's one firm that's dominating the market, there's only one firm in that industry. Oligopoly is now when the market opens up a little bit and you've got about 3 or 4 competitors that will control that market, right? So what we're going to look at now is what are the key features of an oligopolistic market. Again, for any of my 6th years watching this in class, you're working off the book, guys. You can get this if you start off, guys. We're on page 246. Okay, so be handy if you've got the book to run through. You can mark all the keywords, right? So of course in the book it'll be in a lot more detail, but we'll just hammer through the main points here. The first thing there it says, like, what are the key features of this market structure? We have there to start there. There's very few sellers in the industry. Now again, like these few sellers, like 3 or 4, together they can control the price of the market, the price of the product being sold, or the output. Okay, so they'll have that control of the market. Second thing there, it says interdependence between firms, right? Now what you want to notice there, when you're looking at there the interdependence between firms, firms don't act independently of each other. So they're always monitoring, they're always watching their competitors very closely, and they're taking into account the likely action of those competitors if they're doing one thing or another. So like with these market structures, with an oligopoly, there's only about 3 or 4 of you in the market, so it's really easy to keep an eye on your competitor. There's only 2 or 3 people you've got to watch. So what we have there is there's very strong interdependence. Firms do not act independently of each other. So if one firm, let's say in an oligopoly, is considering raising their price, they'll always factor in, okay, what would our competition do instead, and how they react if we raise our price or if we lower our price, right? So that's going to be the interdependence between firms. Firms are not independent of each other. Next one, guys, product differentiation occurs. So what you're going to have in an oligopoly, because there's again only 3 or 4 firms in this market, you're going to try and convince consumers that your product is better than the competition. The main way you achieve this, guys, is done through advertising. So how do they make their products stand out from the competition? They drive that product differentiation through competitive advertising. They can do a bit by branding and a little bit of innovation as well. The main one there you're going to see is going to be competitive advertising. Okay. So you'll try and stress like the quality of your product. You might use better raw materials or anything like that, and you'll advertise that to make consumers think your product's better. Next thing then, guys, is there's barrier to entering. Now this is very, very common in an oligopoly. The firms in oligopoly are making supernormal profit, okay? And that profit's going to be attracting in other competitors. So what you're going to have is that the firms that are operating in oligopoly will want to keep it in oligopoly. They don't want the market to get more competitive and switch out to being in perfect competition. And, you've got 20 or 30 competitors. They're going to want to keep it as an oligopoly. So what they're going to do, guys, their focus is going to be to maintain their market share. And they're going to try and keep other competitors out of the market that way. One big way they might do it is just by pumping a huge amount of money into advertising. And that way other firms can't afford, smaller businesses can't afford to enter the market, because just wouldn't have the money to compete on such a high scale with such a high advertising budget. So that's a big way. It's very, very common. They want to keep their market share, they try and keep the competition out. Collusion may occur. Now mark this in again, the word may, okay, on your book there. Make sure you spot it. Don't say collusion occurs, may occur. Now remember, guys, what we have is collusion. This when like rival firms will come together and purposely restrict prices, okay? Now this is illegal in Ireland. Like you couldn't have like two companies sitting down saying, okay, we'll agree to set the market price together. There's no, by formal agreement in the contract. You're not allowed to collude, but a lot of firms might do it implicitly when there's no formal agreement, and you just kind of agree to stand off each other. So what we get, guys, collusion may occur. The firms in the market may control the market price, or they may control the market output, okay? That's your collusion. And the last one then, guys, is non-price competition is much more common than price competition. Right, when firms in oligopoly engage in price competition, those businesses are going to lose out. Okay, so we don't want to get into a price war there. So, and we'll see why in about a minute, but that's the big focus. So firms, when they're in oligopoly, the worst thing they could have is a price war, because then both companies will keep undercutting each other in price, and the profits will be eroded. Okay, so non-price competition is much more common than price competition. Price competition, price war, they avoid this at all costs, okay? Instead then they compete in non-price competition. Would be like you might have loyalty cards, or better quality, or after sales service or anything like that. But that's what they try to do, and they try to avoid price competition. Okay, I'll go over here and have a look at this. So this is quite tricky here. So we're going to look at now like a King's demand curve, okay? So the only way we need to do this is that I think this can cause a bit of problems with students that they're looking at this. They mightn't know necessarily like why the demand curve. If you're drawing a demand curve in oligopoly, it'd be very, very tricky. So students can get caught out and they mightn't understand exactly why it happens the way it is, right? So in order to sort of look at an oligopoly, right, we need to get like the most extreme version of it, okay? So remember again, if you're looking at this, it's got when you've got like this market structure would be when you've got, let's say, 4 firms in the market, okay? And the best example, if you look at this, like imagine there's 4 petrol stations, right? And there's no other petrol station for 100 miles. So this is an incredibly extreme example of an oligopoly. You've got 4 firms in the market at one crossroad. Each business has a petrol station. Each person's got a petrol station at each crossroad. And there's no other petrol station for 150 miles. Now this is the most purest form of an oligopoly. People have to buy petrol, they have to go somewhere to get it. And their only option is they can buy it off me. Imagine you own one of them, that's you. They can buy it off Dave, sorry. They can buy it off Gavin, right? So anyway, so they can go out and get it off myself, or you. They can get it off Dave, or they can get it off Gavin. They're the 4 people who are selling petrol, right? Now, what we get here to start is the firms here don't collude, okay? So remember then when we saw earlier in the features of an oligopolistic market, we saw when we had a collusion, right? Collusion may occur. This one, the firms will work together and they'll try and get on, right? In this case, guys, remember when you're looking at the kink demand curve, we make the assumption that there's no collusion, okay? No collusion in the market at all. So that's just another way of saying we all hate each other's guts, okay? So that, you know, I hate David, David hates me, you know, I hate you hate me, all that sort of stuff. No matter what, we hate each other's guts, we don't talk, anything like that, okay? So now think about it again. You hate my guts, you want to see me out of the market, right? And so do the other people. So when we're doing it, right, imagine, let's look at the market structure. Let's say this is my kink demand curve, right? So this is me. So imagine here, if I woke up tomorrow and I said like, right, you know what? I've got an idea. And I'm going to knock the price of my petrol up from €1.50, I'm going to knock it up to €1.80. Think about it yourself now. How would you react? Would you follow me? Okay, so if you're thinking about that there, beforehand we all had a quarter of the market each, right? We were all doing grand, but suddenly you wake up one morning and you look out and you see that I've pushed the price of my petrol up to 180. So how do you respond? Okay, so the first thing there is, I hope you said you'd leave your price unchanged, because if you push your price up to 180, well then everybody's going to go to Gavin and Dave. Okay, so what you're going to see, they're all going to go there, and you're going to get squeezed out of the market. So what you're going to do naturally, you'll be looking at me and saying like, right, that idiot has knocked his price up to 180, brilliant. We used to have it, like before he did this, you know, let's say everybody had 25% of the market each, we were all doing great. Now Ronan's knocked his price up to 180, he's lost all his customers. So I used to have a quarter market, they're gone, I've lost all my customers. Now anybody driving in is going to buy off Dave, so you'll have like 33% of the market, they'll get it off Gavin, or they'll go to you. So you're absolutely delighted with this. So you see there, you say like, right, I've knocked up my price and I've just, you know, killed off my business. So straight away I knock the price up to 180, and what happens? Okay, my demand, guys, goes to virtually nothing. So if you're looking at the way my demand curve is going to look, I raised my price, let's say from A to B, and I had elastic demand. Like I lost most of my customers. I might have 1 or 2 people, if they drive in, they don't notice the price of my petrol has gone up, they didn't look at it. I'll still maybe have like 1 or 2, 1% of the market. It doesn't mean I've lost every single person, but I've pretty much murdered my company and I've lost all my customers. So what can you guys spot there, right? What we've seen here is when I've raised my price, we have elastic demand. I raised my price, consumer, you guys left your price unchanged, and I lost all my customers, and that's going to show us there we've got elastic demand. So I turn around and I look back and I've lost all my customers now. So I start to freak out. I'm like, okay, that was an absolute disastrous idea. So straight away, like the next day, I change my plan and I'm like, I knock my price back down to 150, okay? So I'm back down to 150 now. Dave's doing the same, Gavin's doing the same. Market balance is out now, and we all, again, we're back to like, you know, all having a quarter of the market each. So like, now I'm thinking like, go back from me, like I'm like, right, I raised my price and they didn't follow me. Okay, well, hang on. I know I'm buying the petrol for 180, or let's say I know I'm buying petrol for 80 cents. So if I drop the price, I'm selling 150. But if I turn around tomorrow and I drop the price to, let's say, €1, I know straight away, they didn't follow me. So I'll take over the whole market. Okay, so I'm thinking this, I'm like, right, brilliant. This is my deal here. So I wake up the next day and I say, right, I'm lashing my price down to €1. All right. So straight away, I put my price down to €1. Now, how do you act if you see me drop? If you see me drop my price, you see me legging out and lowering the price. What are you going to do? You've no option. You have to follow me. You're looking at me and like, right, your man screwed this up for all of us, and completely rocked the boat. But you've no option. You have to go with me. So you drop your price down. Gav drops his price down. Dave drops his price down. Okay. So what's happened now is we've kicked off a price war. We've all dropped our price down, but we're not really any better off. Like, I still have a quarter of the market. We all have a quarter of the market each. Now maybe people drive a little bit more, and that way I might sell a little bit more petrol or whatever. But like, what I'll see here is like my demand might go out to about here. You know, I drop the price down to €1. Demand might increase a little bit, but it's going to be very, very insignificant. I'm going to gain very few additional customers. So what we see here is, in the case of me, guys, when I lowered my price, I gained very, very few additional customers. So I was selling 150 at this amount. I lowered the price, maybe I'll gain a little bit, but it's going to be inelastic demand. And that's why the kink demand curve looks the way it does. When we start off, it's by a mile the hardest of all the graphs to draw. And this is where students completely screw up and leave it, and they know that. So that's why they've asked it like twice out of the last 4 years. So it's not this thing of like, okay, I'll gamble and, you know, hope it doesn't come up. We've no choice, we have to know this thing inside out. So like when you're looking at this, going back to it, right? We know here that that's why the demand curve looks the way it does, okay? We start off here, if I'm selling 150, if I raise the price, my competitors will leave their prices unchanged, so I'll gain very few additional customers. If I lower the price, my competitors will lower the price along with me, and I'll gain very few additional customers. So sorry, I'll go back over that again. I raise my price, my competitors leave their price unchanged, so I'll lose most of my customers. So I raise the price, lose most of my customers. And what we see there, guys, is I'm going to have elastic demand. And if I drop my price, I'll gain very few additional customers. So I'm going to have inelastic demand. And that's what they want you to be able to understand in this exam. That like, they want you to be able to explain, right, that this portion of the demand curve from A to B is elastic demand, and this portion of the demand curve from B to C is inelastic demand, okay? And that's, once you kind of got that, the rest of the thing is quite easy, right? So we'll, I'll rub this out now, but we'll keep pushing on through it, right? So start off like, and I'll rub this out to make this a tiny little bit neater, and we can, you know, start drawing this graph again from scratch, right? So again, if we're in the leading cert here, and they ask me to draw the kink demand curve, I'll let that in there, P1. So that's me starting off here, right? That's P1, and that's me there. Let's say tidy up a little bit there. That's A to B, B to C. Okay, grand. So what I do now is straight away then, I'll just put in my marginal cost curve, or sorry, my demand curve from A to B and B to C. Right, now if I have two demand curves essentially, guys. I've got the demand curve from A to B, and I've also got my demand curve from B to C. Okay, now if you're going to have two demand curves, we're going to have two marginal revenue curves. So what we do here is we've got our marginal revenue curve here, and let's say with that there at point D, and then also we'll have our marginal revenue curve here, and let's say with that there at point E, okay? So they're my two demand curves. So my A to B represented there by the marginal revenue curve at D, and the demand curve from B to C, we see it represented there by the marginal revenue curve at point D. Make sure again, guys, there's not much of a gap there, okay? If you draw the marginal revenue curve out like that, the examiner can't give you the marks on it, because again, when you're looking at the marginal revenue curve going that way, and the demand curve going that way, they'll never meet. So you want to leave a little small gap here. Kind of the tighter the gap there, the better. Okay, the smaller the gap, the better. Again, because then you're imagining then that the demand curve, marginal revenue curve start at the same point. You know, when you're doing the monopoly graph, you're drawing the monopoly demand and the marginal revenue start at the same point. You don't want to make that clear. Like, it's blatantly obvious there that these two curves will meet. They want to make it clear that those two here will meet again. Okay. So we've got that done. We've got the demand curve, marginal revenue curve. Next curve we put in is our marginal cost curve. So again, we put that in there. That's our marginal cost curve. Now we put in our average cost curve. All right, and then I can label this here. Let's call this here point G. Okay, so now what we have there, that's the oligopoly. Okay, that's literally, let's put yourselves in an examiner scenario. If like I, grade the paper there and I see this, I'm like, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 9, 4 marks. That's all it is, okay? Now, you really want to be able to, like, it's not enough to sort of, like, I kind of explain that. I know if you're watching this, you're like, okay, grand, I get that. That's not good enough. You have to sit down and really grind this thing out. So Nothing can substitute. Like what I'd advise guys in your position is have a couple of pieces of A4 paper ready and practice just drawing this graph out again and again and again from scratch, okay? So I'm going to do it again one more time, and I don't care, obviously rewind the video as many times you have to, but make sure you're rootless with this and you know this inside out, because you screw up the graph, it doesn't matter what you do in your explanations, you're not going to, you're going to lose some marks here in the graph, right? So go down, we'll get the basics done again, right? So this is me here, price, quantity. Okay, so remember again when I'm drawing this, alright, so I start off here, and this is P1, and this is Q1, okay? So that's this price I'm selling it there, P1, Q1. It's different to all the other market structures. It's not like I'm drawing a normal demand curve. You kind of start off here in the middle, right? Then I draw my demand curve, my elastic demand. Remember again the case, if I raise my price, my other competitors will leave their price unchanged. Okay, so I lose many customers. Okay, so I raise my price, my competitors don't change their price, I lose most of my customers. If I lower my price, my competitors will lower their price along with me, so I'll gain very few additional customers. So you see there, I'll have inelastic demand here, and I'm going to have elastic demand up here, okay? That's fine. So again, I've got my two demand curves here, demand curve from A to B, which is elastic, demand curve from B to C, which is inelastic. The next thing I do then is I put in my marginal revenue curve, I'll label that there at point D, and I'll do that. I'm not that happy with that one. I'll rub that out again, and I'll just kind of draw it a little bit tighter. Okay, so if I'm doing that there again, that's my marginal revenue curve, perfect there. See that tighter gap between it, and we'll label that there at point E. Now, the next thing then is you do, we put in our marginal cost curve, marginal cost there, it's marginal cost curve there, no problem. And then we put in our average cost curve here, that's already C. And let's label that there at point G. Brilliant, that's that graph done. But again, like you just keep chipping away at this thing, okay? So like, I'll draw it again one time, I don't like got my back to it, but I'll do it one time again, just quick enough, I've got my back to you. You can see how you can kind of just get it done quite quickly with a bit of practice, okay? So the first thing there, going through it, we've got quantity, price, okay? So we start off here at Q1, P1, okay, so that's my demand curve there. Demand curve from A to B, demand curve from B to C, okay. So now my marginal revenue curve, label that at D, tight here, and the other marginal revenue curve here is E. Remember, so the marginal revenue curve from A, or demand curve from A to B is represented there by the marginal revenue curve at D, demand curve from B to C is represented by the marginal revenue curve at E. Okay, now I put in my marginal cost curve, marginal costs, it's fine. Now my average cost curve here, and I'll label this here G, brilliant. And that's your oligopoly draw. It does take a bit of practice, but there's, you follow the same order, like you just keep chipping away. It's like, you remember we were doing the monopoly thing earlier, you start off, you go like price, quantity, and then you basically chip through. You've got your demand curve, marginal revenue curve. I won't bother doing that because, we'll keep bulling on through, so we'll get this thing done now. Okay, so what they want you to do now is they want you to actually explain. Now they're breaking this into a couple of parts, right? So the first thing to look out for there is, right, let's explain the demand curve, right? So demand curve from A to B. Okay, if the firm increase their price, others will leave their prices unchanged. Remember a case I told you, if I knock my price up to 180, you guys aren't going to follow me. So the firm, the firm, I'll lose many customers. This portion of the demand curve is elastic, okay? So you guys are spotting it there. What we're getting at there is from A to B, it's going to be elastic, okay? And that's what you guys see there, right? So I raise my price, other firms leave their price unchanged, and this portion of the demand curve will be elastic. Okay, let's look at the other scenario, my demand curve from B to C. If I lower my price, others will match it. Okay, so I knock the price down to €, you guys follow me, I'll gain very few additional customers, and that's why this portion of the demand curve is going to be inelastic. So you guys see it down there, from B to C, we're going to have inelastic demand. Brilliant. Right, next thing then. Okay, so that's that chipped away there. Now what we got to do is we got to go through the specs. Okay, so remember again when they're doing this, the specs, S, P, E, C, and S. Okay, so let's go through it. The firm is earning supernormal profits because average revenue is greater than average costs. It makes perfect sense. So let's look again where we are. This guy's their demand curve, which is their average revenue. They're producing here Q1. Their average revenue at this point exceeds their average costs. They're making supernormal profit. along with the fact that barrier to entry exists. Remember again, barrier to entry at a petrol station will be the very high startup costs, okay? And that's going to keep people from trying to break in into the market and undercutting petrol stations, okay? So I'm earning more profits because average revenue is bigger than average cost and barrier to entry exists. Next one then, guys, is I produce a Q1 and I sell a P1, okay? So very straightforward there. You can see it labelled in the graph there. I'm selling a P1 and I produce at Q1, no problem. Okay, next one then, guys, equilibrium. Equilibrium occurs at point E. Remember, guys, this is where the market meets, okay? So remember again, where marginal cost after marginal revenue, equilibrium occurs at point E, at point G, where MR equals MC and MC is rising. Makes perfect sense. Remember again, this is our marginal revenue curve. It's fractured there, we see it there. Marginal revenue curve meets marginal costs. Marginal cost is rising. That's our equilibrium position there, labelled at G. That's that done. The firm's cost of production is shown at point G again. Very good, because remember guys, I'm producing here Q1, and this is my average cost curve. Where does Q1 meet the average cost curve? Here, at that point. See the average cost curve there? It's where Q1 meets it. So my cost of production is also at point G. So guys, don't let that distract you. Both equilibrium position and your cost of production, both going to be labelled at point G. And the last one then, guys, this is a really, really important one. It's the sticky pricing. This is what students don't really get in their leaving cert, right? So we'll jump back to this little scenario here, right? And you guys follow me up here, right? So imagine then again if it's like, so we all kind of learned from that. And we're like, right, that was an absolute disaster. Lowering the prices, the price war didn't work out, raising the prices. So we kind of learned the lesson the hard way. And we not that we were getting on, but anything like that, but like looking at this scenario, like this imaginary scenario, all over petrol stations on the world, but like now we're not like best mates written, but we're like, right, price wars aren't a good move. So then we're like, right, what do we do? How do we get around this? So I know that I don't want to engage in price war, I don't want to change my prices, right? And imagine again, guys, we're all buying our petrol off our supplier at, let's say, 80 cents, okay? So you're buying it off 80 cents a litre, selling 150, you're laughing. We're all good, we're all making a nice profit. Now, imagine if you would have routed the supplier, and the supplier turned around. So if you're following me up here, right, just maybe no harm looking like this. So your average cost, let's say it's like 80 cents, and you're selling 150, right? Imagine though you had a little bit of a row with the supplier. You know the supplier, the lad selling us petrol, turned around and said, like, right, I'm going to keep selling to Ronan, Dave and Gav for 80 cents. But because you've annoyed me, I'm going to knock the price up to 90 cents for you. What do you do? Would you, so the price of your petrol's gone up by 10 cents a litre. Do you increase the price of your petrol by 10 cents a litre? Of course not. You don't. Because you know if you increase it up to 160, you're going to lose all your customers. Because we're going to leave our prices unchanged. So what you're going to see here, right, and this is what they're getting at with sticky pricing. This is the tendency in firms and oligopolistic markets to leave prices unchanged. Because if you know if you raise your price up, you're going to lose all your customers. So even though, guys, if your average costs were to increase a little bit, that doesn't matter. And that's what they're getting at sticky pricing. So we're going through, like, with sticky pricing, what they're getting at here is, should costs rise between points D and E, prices are going to remain unchanged. So what they're getting at there is, as long as costs, your average costs, falls between these 2 points, prices are going to be constant. You're not going to raise or lower the price. Because again, even if you get, imagine if you get the price a little bit, you get your petrol a little bit of a cheaper price for your friends, the guys selling the petrol, you're not going to drop your price. Because you know if you drop your price, we'll follow you. Okay, so you don't really benefit by that. So you're just like, right, grand, I'll take the lower price, but I won't change it. So there's everything there. That's why we've got there from D to E. So if you follow me down here on the board, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Sticky pricing. Should costs rise between points D and E, price remain constant at P1. Okay, so prices basically don't change as long as your average cost falls between points D and E. Brilliant. Okay, that's like the bulk of the stuff done, right? What we're going to do now is we're just going to fire through a few other questions, right? One question students are asking me about is like, or you'd see in the notes even, sorry, if you open up your notes, guys, see it on page 246, it's like, right, what are the objectives that firms and oligopolistic markets have? Okay, so the first thing there, the objectives. Now remember again, like in your book, guys, page 246, if you open up, you can see it there, okay? So the first thing that firms and oligopolistic markets will have is they're going to try and prevent any government intervention, okay? So remember again, all these firms and oligopoly making supernormal profit, first thing they do, they try and keep the government out. One way the government get involved is the government saw that, like, let's say they thought that they were making, their profits were too big and they were exploiting consumers, that's when the government can get involved. So sometimes firms and oligopolies will keep their price a little bit lower to lower their S&Ps a little bit even The main reason there is to prevent any government intervention. You don't want the government meddling in affairs. It just makes it too hard for you guys to do business. The bigger goal, right, if you're operating, so that's the first objective. Number one, prevent government intervention. Number two, which is the key thing, if you're in an oligopoly, you want to keep it an oligopoly, okay? So you want to make sure there's no one else entering the market. So the big thing there you have is you want to discourage entrance of new firms. So an example of this could be like, imagine if somebody set up, let's say, in a petrol station, set up beside Gavin there. But what we might do is we might say to Gavin, we'd be like, right Gavin, lower your prices a lot. And basically, even if you're selling it at a loss, it doesn't matter. Lower your prices and push him out of the market. And that's limit pricing. That's when one firm, with the tacit agreement of others, agrees to lower their prices in order to force unwanted entrants out of the market. It's like even a bigger example, like imagine if there's like 4 banks, all right? And imagine there's 4 banks, one in Leinster, one in Munster, one in Connacht, and one in Ulster, right? And a new bank springed up in Leinster, right? Well, what they do is they turn around, they'd say, right, let's say the bank operating in Leinster, they'd say, right, your job now is lower your prices and drive out that other new bank that's set up in Leinster. So that's the idea, okay? So whoever's closest to the new firm, they drop their price. So it's only one firm will drop their price, and that's going to be the firm that's going to be closest to where the new competitors entered, right? Anyway, that's the second one there. You've got discouraging entrants. The next one then, guys, is your goal here, guys, is not necessarily to maximise your profits in the short run, but you want to maximise your market share. If you're operating an oligopoly, your goal is to grow the market as much as you can, and once you have the maximum share of the market, your profits again will go up. And then the only other thing there is that what they have, number 4, would be to maintain adequate profits, okay? So as long as their profits are moderate, they're going to be happy. They're not going to strive towards supernormal profits in the short term. Okay, so we'll drill through them again. Number 1, prevent government intervention. Number 2, prevent new firms from entering the market. They do that by limit pricing to keep new competitors out. Number 3, their individual goal will be to maximise their share. Number 4, guys, maintain adequate profits, okay? And they don't want to strive for short-term supernormal profits because that can bring in government intervention. And that's the first one. Brilliant, we can chip that off. Right, next one then, guys, is price competition. Basically what you see there is price competition. It's another way of just looking at like a price war, okay? So like imagine if there's like, imagine here you got the example, we all got into a price war here, right? First thing they'll have is, well, why, the question there is like, why do consumers like price competition? So the big thing you see with consumers there is that they'll be delighted because they're getting better value for money. You're just getting cheaper stuff. Instead of paying $1.50 a litre, you're paying €1 a litre. Okay, so that's the first one. Second thing though, right, and this is a handy little question because they're asking this, and look over the marketing scheme from 2011 when this question came up, and you'll see that literally it's like 1, 2 and 3 structure like this. First thing there is you get better value for money, right? As a result though of getting better value for money, imagine if I was spending 150 quid on diesel, right, or petrol, and suddenly the price of petrol went down to €1, went from 150 to €1. Well, now I've got 50 quid more to save. I've got 50 quid extra. So I have a higher disposable income, better standard of living, okay? So what you see there, guys, the advantage of price competition. The first point there, guys, is going to be better value, all right? The second point will create it. You're going to have more disposable income. I just might write that in as DI. Your disposable income is going to go up. And the third one then you're going to see, guys, from that is, as a result of you guys having a higher disposable income, you're going to have more choice about what you want to buy. All right, so what I mean by that is, imagine if I used to spend 150 quid a week on petrol, price of petrol goes down by 33%, now I only spend €100 a week on petrol. Okay, first advantage, I'm getting better value for money, getting better petrol at a cheaper price. Also though, I used to spend 150, now I only spend 100 quid, I have an extra 50 quid to spend. So my disposable income's gone up, better standard of living. As a result of my disposable income's gone up, I have more choice over what I want to buy, and that's the 3 points. It's like so handy, such a lovely question. And then the other thing you can say as well is that, like, you can even just say in general, price competition, the good thing about price competition is it's better in the sense of like, there's no advertising, and advertising can annoy consumers, okay? Sometimes like there's no big push in advertising, and consumers will like that because advertising really just results in a higher price to consumer. So imagine if these firms are competing just on price, no big emphasis in advertising, and consumers will like that. Advertising can be annoying as well at the same time, so you don't have to worry about that, okay? So it's better form of competition than advertising. Brilliant, that's that ticked off. Next one then, guys, we'll look at non-price competition. So remember again, non-price competition, this is when you're competing on methods other than price, okay? So we saw price competition based on the price war. Non-price competition is when you're competing like with the quality of your service, right? So like, why do customers, and you can do non-price competition in a few ways. Like one way, Right, so like, well, first question is like, why do customers prefer non-price competition, right? Well, one reason they prefer non-price competition is they get rewarded for their loyalty. So imagine if you have it like with coffee shops, they might all agree to set the price of their coffee at £3, but they might give you loyalty cards, and then the whole thing is that you get rewarded for your loyalty. That's the first one, okay? So first reason there, non-price competition. Remember, the coffee shops agree to set their price at £3. They don't lower it, but they give you loyalty cards, okay? That's the first one. So that's one thing consumers like. Second thing, right, is that when you're looking at non-price competition, you've stable prices, and consumers like that because they can plan into the future. Like, imagine there if you've got sometimes like you have a price war, and 1 week the price are rock bottom, but the next week they're shooting up, and then they might even go higher again, they go down. The good thing about non-price competition, you've price stability, makes it easier to plan into the future. The third one, so first remember, loyalty is rewarded, second price stability, third one is the quality, right? You're gonna have better quality products. And then the last one then, guys, is, so again, better quality, better service, after sales service, throw that down, you see in the marketing scheme. The next one then on top of that as well, the fourth point is going to be consumers will get free gifts, okay? So like, sometimes they might have like, you know, if you buy a product, they'll throw in a free gift along with it, okay? So anything like that, and consumers will just like that, okay? So like, sometimes I can imagine, even if I was doing it here at the petrol stations, what I might say is like, for every £100 you spend on petrol, I'll give you a free car wash, okay? So that's what consumers can like as well. Right, brilliant, that's that out of the way. That's the advantage of non-price competition. So quick summary of the first one again. First one there is consumer loyalty is rewarded, stuff like loyalty cards, they like that. Second one is you've got price stability, no price wars. Third one is you've got better quality products, because remember, they're not competing on price, so they compete on quality, better after sales service, all that sort of stuff, better raw materials used in the products. And the last one then you're going to see is free gifts, and that's number 4, okay? Right, next one then we're going to look at is collusion. Okay, so remember again, collusion. This is when rival firms come together in the market and they restrict competition. They basically behave as if they're a monopoly, okay? So collusion is illegal if it's, but there's a formal, you can't have a formal element of collusion. So like, even like imagine with us in the grind school, we couldn't sit down and get onto all the other grind schools and be like, okay, let's try and set the price of the Easter grinds or anything like that over Easter or anything like that. If you do that, like that's 100% illegal, you're not allowed to do it, right? So firms don't collude. And so it's illegal. But then the question there could be like, right, if they were to collude, how do you see it? So we'll go down through it. So again, remember, this is when these companies will work together. The 3 or 4 firms that have the oligopoly work together to try and keep it as an oligopoly. First way they'll collude is limit pricing. Remember, we saw it earlier. That's when one firm with the tacit agreement of others agreed to drive down the price to force unwanted customers out, or unwanted competitors out of the market. Second one they can do is they can agree to set the output. So imagine if it's like, imagine we did it here. We said, look, okay, in order to keep the price for petrol high, we'll all buy 20 litres a week. Okay, we'll all produce, let's say, 20,000 litres a week. Okay, we won't sell more than that. That's an output. Again, what you're doing there, guys, you're restricting supply. What happens when you restrict supply? You keep the market price high, okay? Next one then, very straightforward, is you just set sales territories, okay? So you say like, right, we'll operate in one side of the market, you operate in the other, and we don't compete in each other's segments. That's a really, really important thing. So I won't try and go after, your customers, I won't advertise to them, you don't advertise to me, we separate the market. That's our collusion. So you got 1, limit pricing, 2, output policy, and 3, you set your sales territories, okay? And if anyone wants to look over that in the notes, guys, you can find that on page 249 in the book, okay? Last thing to get done here, I just want to go through it very, very quickly here, and you'll see it if you open up your book, guys, and get on page 250. It's not here on the board, okay, so don't worry about it. But another good question to look out for is like, right, what are the advantages of an oligopoly, right? So like the first thing there you have is, going through it there, so overall, what are the advantages of an oligopoly for the markets? First thing there, you've got price stability, okay? So remember we saw it here, you don't engage in price wars, price stability, that's good. Second thing then, remember we saw it earlier there, firms on oligopoly are earning supernormal profit. Now what you can always argue with supernormal profits is that money can be used for innovation, okay, and it can be used to like develop better products. So when firms on oligopoly, they earn supernormal profits, and down the line that can lead to more innovation, better technology, all that sort of stuff. And the third one then you're going to see is there's going to be better advertising, and as a result, advertising in a positive way, consumers can be more informed, okay? So remember again, they don't compete on price, but one way they do compete by is advertising, and you can argue there as a result of advertising, consumers are more informed. I know it's a bit of a weak argument, but it's in the marketing scheme, you rattle it down, you get the marks, okay? The disadvantages, okay? So what we have here is because barriers to entry exist, these firms are going to make supernormal profits, and there's no downward pressure on prices. Okay, so remember again, oligopoly, 3 or 4 of you in it. You've got barriers to entry, there's no downward pressure on prices because they're making some more profits. So first thing there, barriers to entry, very little competition. Second one, then you're going to have, guys, number 2 is just higher prices in the market. Again, very, very little competition. The third one then, guys, is consumers. When there's an oligopoly, there's only 3 or 4 consumers in the market, so there's a very, very high concentration ratio, and as a result of that, just the consumers won't have any choice. They're very restricted choice. That's what you say. Say restricted choice due to the high concentration ratio, and you'll see that in the market scheme. So they're like the disadvantages. So like again, if you've only got 3 businesses to pick from, you have to go with one of them. Okay, look, that's the bulk of your oligopoly. That's oligopoly done there pretty much. So yeah, brilliant. And remember, guys, drill through it. You'll see all the sample questions and the notes in more detail. It goes through there. But anyone looking over the notes, guys, you'll see it basically goes up from like page 246 as far as page 260. All right, thanks, mate. Cheers. Bye bye.